Hi my loves, thanks for returning. As you know by the thumbnail, this video is going to be on my favorite colorful eyeshadow palettes, and I just thought this video would be fun to do. Plus it could be used as a reference for those of you who are actually on the hunt for colorful eyeshadows out there. I know that I'm always on the hunt for the next best colorful eyeshadow palette. So if you're interested in seeing what my favorite colorful eyeshadow palettes are, then just keep watching. So before I get into showing you the palettes, I just want you to know that all of the palettes are somewhere out there for you to purchase. You can get them either at Sephora or Ulta or a major department store, Nordstrom's Rack, online, eBay, Amazon. You know, they're all somewhere out there. Also, I'm not going to be doing any swatch, just going to show you the palettes. I will have a video up very soon of my eyeshadow palettes. In that video, I am going to do some swatches. I might not swatch the entire palette, but I will be doing swatches of each palette that I show you when I do the video on my eyeshadow palette collection. So let's get to it. So the first one I want to show you is the Sephora Pro Palette. This palette is so colorful, so pretty, so beautiful. And as you can see, it has all of the primary colors. It's got some duochrome colors up there at the top, which if you put them on top of the other colors, they will totally transform the colors into something else, which I think probably is the coolest thing, or the next best coolest thing out of this palette. But this is a really fun palette, and there are some cons to this palette. A lot of people didn't like this palette, or don't like this palette, because they say it is some may say it's dry, chalky, patchy, you know, just a combination of things. But I personally like it, and I find it to be a very pigmented palette. As far as the fallout and kick up and things like that, just tap your brush off. You know, I've never really been one to be bothered by those type of things, but yeah, this is a very fun palette. It runs about $68, of which I think that it's well worth it. So if you're on the hunt for a very versatile, colorful palette, and that is strictly all bright colors. Also, there are mattes as well as shimmers in here, as well as some topper shades, which means they're not going to be pigmented. They're just there to, you know, put over another eyeshadow. Next, I have this mini palette by Huda. This is one of her Obsessions palette, and this is the Electric palette. This palette is too adorable. It's so cute. As you can see, it's got a yellow, it's got red, it's got, what is this, teal, orange, and some purples. It's just a very colorful palette. I really like all of her palettes in this collection. If you haven't tried any of Huda's eyeshadows, you might want to check this one out. It's very pigmented. It is kind of pricey for what it is, but I think it's well worth the money. So this next one is from the Color Workshop, and this is a super affordable palette. But look at the packaging, isn't that cute? And here are the colors, and I pretty much think this is a steal for $4. Yes, it does have some cons. They can easily be remedied with a white base or maybe a cream base or something like that. But yeah, these are some really pretty colors. This palette has mattes as well as shimmers. And again, I just really think it's a steal for $4. Super colorful. If you're ever, I do think they sell it at Walmart, HEB. You know, if you see it, pick it up. It's only $4. You just might like it. Okay, so this next one was a limited edition by Urban Decay, and it is the JEAN-MICHEL BASQUIAT collection. Check out these colors, and like I said, this one is still available online. Yeah, this one is very colorful. This palette is very pigmented, and if you want something to chuckle at, you can check out my review on this. So just for laughs, you can actually check out one of my older videos, but don't be too hard on me. Okay, so this next one is a matte eyeshadow palette by Karity, and this is it right here. So I basically have mixed feelings about this palette. There are a lot of things that I like about this palette. The one thing that I don't like is that I felt as though it was a bit pricey. It was $29, but I did feel as though it could have been more pigmented. If you want the colors to pop, just use a lighter base, and the colors will show up as you see them in the pan, but they do need some assistance. This palette does not have parabens. It is vegan. It is cruelty free. It's just an overall good brand. Okay, so this next one is by Anastasia Beverly Hills. This is her Prism palette. So as you can see, this palette has a variety of shades. It's got a yellow, it's got an orange, it's got a purple, it's got a blue. It's just got a lot of bold colors in here. And I really do like this palette. I really like all of Anastasia Beverly Hills palette. They are all reasonably priced. I think they're pigmented. It's just an overall good brand. And actually right now, as we speak, this moment, this palette is on sale for $31 on Sephora. So if you had always had your eye on this palette, you might want to go and pick it up. So the next one I want to talk about is the Electric palette by Urban Decay. And this palette is an old one, but you all check out these colors. How cool are these colors? Now I must say that 4 of these shades have not been approved for use on your eye, and that's just because of the pigment. But there is a warning on the red and purple type of shades. They have to put that warning out there because for some people it can stain your eyes, but I've watched I don't know how many videos and I really haven't come across one person that said it stains their eyes. But you need to be careful if you do decide to get this one. Outside of that, I think this is a very pretty palette, very colorful. You have a mixture of matte and shimmer shades, and it's just too cute. If you like it, pick it up right now. $23. Remember when this little baby first came out, it was for what, $59, $49, $50? And I passed it up so many times, like $50? Yeah, it's a lot. So this next one is a Profusion palette. And I know you're like, what? That looks like a clutch. Yes, this is a Profusion palette. And here are the shades. Now you can go on Profusion's website and you can get a palette with all of the bright colors. However, I didn't see one that is made like a little clutch like this one. But you can certainly get a palette with all these variety of colors. Now, the pigmentation isn't all that great, but if you set your lids with a white base, you will be able to get these colors to show up. But also, you must be aware that a lot of Profusion eye palettes have parabens. If that's something that you can't get with, you might want to leave this one alone. I mean, when I opened up this palette, I smell it. I can tell when a palette has parabens in it just by the smell. But anyway, that aside, this is a very affordable brand. I think that all these colors may have cost me $9. So if you have to do some extra things like adding a white base, then I would say this is a good palette. If you don't mind the fact that it has parabens in it, you know, then I would say go for it. But this palette really has every color. And another thing that I liked about this palette is that all of these shades are matte. This is an all matte palette and it's just kind of cool. Okay, so next let's look at Juvia's place. This is her Zulu palette, and look at all of these colors. These are so pretty. She has a red, a orange, yellow, purple, green. This is a mixture of this is a mixture of matte and shimmer shades in here. And this is just a very colorful, fun palette. And then the other palette from Juvia's place that I thought was the most colorful is the Masquerade palette. So with this palette, you get blues, you have a pink, you have a burgundy, you have purple, you have orange, you have just a lot of bold, colorful shades in here, and it's just a really fun palette. I have created so many beautiful looks from this Masquerade palette. This is such an affordable brand. These eyeshadows are very pigmented, and basically I would say most of her palettes are colorful. You just kind of have to pick and choose which ones you think are the most colorful, but I encourage you to go to her website because I'm sure you'll see something you like. Next is Pat McGrath's Decadence palette, and this is it right here. This is a beautiful palette, very colorful. All of the shades in here are shimmer shades, and it is just a overall great palette. As you can see, you get a blue, you get gold, you get, what is that, a hot pink, a purple, you get kind of a taupish color. This palette is just very colorful. The major con about this palette is the price. However, I do think it's worth it. Me myself, I think these shadows are beautiful, and if you're able able to check it out, I would certainly say check it out. The other palette of hers is the Subversive palette, and it comes in a casing like this. And here are the colors, and as you can see, you get some pinks, some purples, a blue, you get a black, kind of a chocolatey brown color, and a white. Now a lot of these shades in here are toppers. These toppers in this palette will really transform your eye look into something else, something magical. I think they have a lot of shimmer, very fine glitters, but the shades in this palette are really pretty. I definitely think this is a colorful palette. For the most part of it, I think that this would be a companion palette, mainly because most of the shades in here are toppers, and really there's only two mattes two mattes, but everything else is either a shimmer or a topper. But trust and believe, this particular palette can take a normal eye look, everyday eye look, into, like I said, something magical. Okay, so that is pretty much it. Those are pretty much my top picks of colorful eyeshadow palettes in my collection. I do have some others, and when I think of colorful palettes, I'm thinking palettes that have blues, yellows, orange, reds, greens, just stuff like that. And I tried to pick the palettes that had a lot of that in it. And truth be told, colorful is just really a bold or a bright type of color, something that really stands out, and we all have a lot of those colors. But the ones that I pretty much decided to show you all are the ones that kind of have those unconventional colors in there, the colors that you're really not going to see people wearing from day to day. So let me know if you have any of these palettes, and let me know if you plan on picking any of them up. Thank you so much for tuning in, and until my next video, smooches.